Hello students, in this video we're going to learn how to plot, compare, and order squares, cubes, and expressions. So remember to title your page and put today's date, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Pause the video, copy down the notes, make sure you leave this space here, down here, available because we're going to fill that in with calculations. Come back when you're ready. Okay, so in order for us to plot these values, we're going to plot them on a number line and order them. In order to do that, we need to simplify them. So let's start with this first one here, where we have a cubed root of 64. Well, we know now that to find the cube root of 64, we're going to have to find the number that you multiply times itself 3 times, and that's 4 times 4 times 4 equals 64. So the cubed root of 64 is 4. The second number to evaluate is the square root of 100. Remember that this is a square root because there's no number by the side. When it's a cubed root, we have a 3. So the square root just means it's what number multiplied by itself gives us 100, and we know that that's going to simplify down to a 10 because 10 squared equals 100. The next one, we have the square root of 49. We know that the square root of 49 is found by multiplying 7 times 7. 7 squared equals 49. And the last one, we have the cubed root of 8. So if we take the value of 2, multiply it times itself 3 times, we'll get 8. So now that we have simplified these down, we've simplified them down to a 4, a 10, a 7, and a 2, we can simply create a number line. Oops, wrong thing. We can create a number line. You're going to want to copy all of this down in your notebook. Create a number line. We're going to number it so that we have all of the numbers we need. The smallest number we have is a 2, and the largest number we have is a 10. So you just want to make sure your number line has everything. It can fit all of the numbers in between. So I just did mine from 1 through 10, and now I can just plot these where they go. I'm going to plot them using the original expression that was given. So I know the first one would be 2, and I would have to put that in this right above the 2 here. And so that's going to be the cubed root of 8. It's going to be plotted right at the number 2. The next one would be 4. So right here at 4, I know that I would have the cubed root of 64. The next number would be 7, and so right here at 7, I know that I'll be able to plot the square root of 49. And the last one we have simplifies to a 10, and so I would just plot the value of the square root of 10. So this is how we would order it and plot them on a number line. In order to order them and give the answer in an order, we're going to order them this way. We'd say, so the cubed root of 8 is less than the cubed root of 64, which is less than the square root of 49, which is less than the square root of 100. So now they are in order from least to greatest. Okay. We will have other expressions that are a little bit more complex. This is really a simplified version so that you can understand what we're doing, but now we can use more complex math that we know in order to still simplify them. So let's start with this first example. We're being asked to take all of these expressions. So the first one, and I labeled them with a letter A, B, C, and D. So the letter A is 2.9 plus the square root of 25. We're going to simplify that so that we can plot them. And we want them to look the same to make them easier to plot. The second one, B, is going to be 2 squared plus 1/2 minus the cubed root of negative 27. C is the cubed root of 64 times 1.9. And D is 32.8 divided by the square root of the quantity 2 cubed plus 8. So even though they look involved, we've already been practicing how to do some of these. So let's just take them one at a time. So we're going to start here with the letter A. And I've got the expression already written, so we have 2.9 plus the square root of 25. We want to start by simplifying the square root of 25, and so the square root of 25 we know is a 5. And then just bring down the rest of the expression, which is 2.9, and we're adding that to the 5. 2.9 plus 5 would give me 7.9. So I know that the value of A is going to simplify to 7.9. Okay. Now let's take a look at how we would simplify the value of B. So I'm going to take a look here and see where I should start. So I see I have the cube root of negative 27. So let's take a look at how we would figure that out. So negative 27, to get the cube root of negative 27, that's going to simplify down to a negative 3. Because if I have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, I know that negative times a negative is going to give me a positive 3, and then I still have to multiply that with this remaining negative 3, and a negative times a positive is going to simplify down to a negative. So, and I made a mistake there. That's not a 3. That is going to be a 9. Sorry about that. So negative 3 times negative 3 gave me a positive 9. Positive 9 times negative 3 equals negative 27. So that's where this negative 27 comes from. This negative 27 here comes from having 3, the cube root of 3, of negative 3. In front of that, we have a negative sign. So we're going to have to remember how to deal with when we have a negative being multiplied by a negative. We'll take care of that in 1 second. Okay. I'm also going to go ahead and simplify the 2 squared, which is 4. So I simplified 2 squared, which is 4. I brought down the 1/2. I brought down the negative. If you remember from 7th grade math, that there is an invisible 1 there. And so I have to multiply negative 1 times this negative 3. That is going to give me a positive 3, because a negative multiplied by a negative equals a positive 3. And now I can bring down the rest, what's left in the equation. Now I'm going to add 4 plus 3, and that would give me 7 plus 1/2 is 7.5. Now, since these are going to be all given in decimal form, it is much easier to compare all decimals. So instead of 7.5 written as a fraction, I'm going to use it as a decimal 7 and 5/10, or 7.5. And that would make it easier to evaluate them and compare them. So now we know the value for B is 7.5, and we know the value for A is 7.9. Let's move over to C. On C, we have a cubed root of 64 times 1.9 tenths. So let's take a look at how we would start evaluating this. I would begin by simplifying the cubed root of 64, which we know is 4. Then I would just bring down my multiplication of 1.9. Then I would do the multiplication, which I'm going to do over here on the side. I'm going to say 1.9, or 1 9/10, times 4. And I just do the multiplication. 4 times 9 is 36. So I'm going to add the 3, bring the 6 down. And 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. In order to know where the decimal goes on multiplication, you look in the problem and you find all the decimals. Here we only have 1 decimal, and you ask yourself how many digits are behind. There's only 1 digit behind the decimal, so I need 1 digit behind the decimal here, and that will give me 7.6. That's how you place the decimal in multiplication. So letter C simplifies to 7.6. Okay. The last one here, D, we have 32 8/10 divided by the square root of 2 cubed plus 8. So we're going to just take this one step at a time. We're going to take a look at what's in the parentheses first and simplify that. So 2 cubed, we know, would simplify to 8, plus 8. So that's inside the radical now. We have the square root of 8 plus 8. Okay? And then I'll just bring down the 32.8 so we can keep the problem consistent. I'm still going to continue to simplify this. So the square root of 8 plus 8 is really the square root of 16. And bring down the 3.32 and 8 tenths. And I can simplify the square root further to a 4. And so my final problem is going to be 32 and 8 tenths divided by 4. So I'm going to do that math problem here. And I'm dividing 32 and 8 tenths divided by 4. I'm simply going to put my decimal place where it goes because I already have a whole number on the outside. So 4 goes into 32 8 times 4 is 32. And then I would bring down my 8. And now 4 goes into 8 2 times. That's 8, and that's going to give me a 0. So this answer simplifies down to 8.2. Okay? So now I have all of my answers in decimal form. The next step would be to create a number line. I made the number line. I looked at the numbers first. My lowest number, the lowest value I have is 7 5 tenths. The largest value I have is 8 2 tenths. So I want to make sure that my number line has enough space to to show all of those numbers and the numbers in between them in order to plot these. So we'll start with the first one, the lowest value, 7 5 tenths. And so I know 7 5 tenths is going to be found right here. Then we have 7 6 tenths, so I'm going to plot that. The next one would be 7 9 tenths, so I'm going to plot that. And the last one would be 8 2 tenths. Okay. Then I need to, in order to make sure I'm putting the expression in the right place. The expressions are kind of long, so I just labeled them. So I'll just put the letters. We're going to have 7 5 tenths, which was B. So I'm going to put the letter B there. 7 6 tenths, which is the letter C. 7 9 tenths is the letter A. And 8 2 tenths is the letter D. So I have plotted all of my expressions. I would like for you guys to try this one here, and I will be looking for it in your notebooks. So you're going to do it the same way. You're going to simplify each expression, get them all in the same format. Decimals are usually the best way, decimals and whole numbers. And draw a number line and plot them the same exact way that I did here. Okay? If you have any questions, please make sure to write them down. If you get stuck, make sure you show me your work. Do not erase your work. Show me your work so we can discuss and analyze your work, and I can help you get better. Also, if you need any assistance with dividing the decimals, multiplying the decimals, or multiplying integers, positive and negative numbers, be sure to look at the previous skills videos. I will have videos for all of that, and I will also help you in class when we're practicing some more. Okay, good luck, and I will see you next class.